here at the beautiful Center for Holistic Wellness in Sedro-Woolley, Washington. And today we're going to work into some warming up for the shoulders and strengthening of the core in preparation for some of the more challenging postures, including arm balances. So thanks for joining me. For today's practice, you may or may not need 2 blocks, a yoga strap. So this is like an old recycled karate belt. You can use a tie from home or anything that resembles a strap. It's quite useful for some of what we're doing today to have the D-rings on the end, but you could also tie the strap instead of using D-rings. A blanket, and we'll get to this, but this is a wedge, and it helps for those who have tender wrists, and I'll explain that in a bit. So just starting today's practice in a seated position, and if you find that your knees are above the hips, take some height and sit onto a block or a blanket stacked on top of a block so that your knees can be about level with the hips in cross-legged position. Close your eyes. Feel your sit bones equally rooting into your support. So sometimes moving the flesh of the sit bones to the side is helpful for that. From a broad base in your pelvis, lift each bone of the spine up tall as though someone was pulling a string straight up to the sky through the crown of your head. From that length and that lift, relax the shoulders. Now, to bring a little bit of the arch out of the low back, you may choose to place your hands onto the floor or onto your support beside you and simply lift the body. Notice how the side chest lifts till you have straight arms, and the length comes to the low back. And see if you can keep that length as you sit back down. Keep the spaciousness, the broadness of the low back as you allow the weight to come back into your sit bones. Hands can rest palms up or palms down on the legs. Elbows are beneath the shoulders. And just notice your breathing here. Just the temperature, the length of the breath. And notice where in the body you're sending each inhalation and each exhalation. And begin gently to pull the breath into the low belly, spreading the belly wide like a balloon in all directions. And then exhale. Drawing everything in, so toward navel towards spine, even the side belly, draw it in. If you can't feel that, it's okay, just imagine it happening. Inhale, nice broad belly breath. Exhale, drawing in. This is a gentle way to begin to activate and enliven the core. Now see if your belly breath can become so broad that you begin to feel even the chest broadening as well. And exhale, drawing everything toward your spine, toward the center. Nice broad, expansive in-breath. And exhale, drawing everything inside. The eyes can be closed, you can be gazing down toward your heart center. Shoulders are soft, sometimes the neck muscles like to try to help the breath. Let those relax. Bring your palms to your heart. And set your intention for today's practice. Your intention can be anything that you hope to cultivate in your yoga practice or in your life. Perhaps honoring your body deeply as we move through some strengthening postures today and stretching of the shoulders. It can be anything you choose, and as you find your intention, take a deep inhale and feel it fill your body, the energy of that intention. And as you exhale, bow your head toward your heart to seal your intention inside. This will keep it with you throughout your practice without you having to dwell upon it. And softly bring your chin level with the earth and rest your arms back down. Inhale, we'll begin with some movement. It's okay to open your eyes if you choose, or keep them closed. Inhale, the shoulders come forward and up, back and down, just to begin to warm this area. The shoulders are a very mobile part of the body. They don't have a deep joint that the shoulder sits in like the hips. And so it's very important to not only stretch the shoulders, but especially as we go to weight-bearing poses where we're putting all the weight of our body onto our arms, to really strengthen and have a sense of balance in the shoulders. Let's reverse directions, inhaling up, exhaling down and forward, and see if you can keep your torso very stable and just isolate the movement of the shoulders here. Softening your jaw and your neck, and then reversing once more, inhaling up, exhaling back and down. Good, and we'll reach the arms forward to about 90 degrees, level with the floor. And as though you're just kind of holding a ball, imaginary ball out in front of you. Lift the sides of the chest nice and tall. Find that sense of length in the low back here. And as you lift your side chest tall, notice that shoulders tend to want to come up toward the ears. So keeping the side ribs lifted, the front and back ribs also lifted, relax just the shoulders down. And keeping that length and height in the spine. Inhale here. Now some of us, like myself, tend to have a forward head, so draw the chin back so the ears are level with the shoulders. Good, and to make this more challenging, more strength building, you can find a block and hold it between the hands. Or a ball or something else. Now as you're extending the arms out, lowering the shoulders from the ears, chin is back. See that the eyes of the elbows are looking toward each other. Press into the block or just hold the arms out. And from here, we're going to draw the fingertips forward and then draw the armpits back. And I'll show a side view here. Drawing the fingertips forward on the inhale and the armpits back on the exhale. So again, we're not moving the spine, we're just isolating the shoulder blades here. And I have very mobile shoulders because I've been doing this a long time. You may not have this much movement, and that's okay. Just work with where you're at. And on an exhale, slowly drop the arms down, replace the block. Hopefully now your shoulders are feeling a little bit warmer. Let's cross the opposite leg in front, so the other one that was not in front before. Reach the left arm out to the side and overhead. And then exhale, we'll just find a side bend. So here we are moving the spine. Inhale, right arm out and overhead. Exhale, over just a little ways. We're not exaggerating just yet here. Notice the location, the seat of your shoulders here. Notice if as you reach up, the shoulders try to extend toward the ears. See if they can stay down away from your ears. So shoulders are rooted down as you extend through the arms. So the inhale comes through center, and the exhale, plugging the shoulder in and extending through the fingertips. And now maybe go a little bit deeper, but see that your sit bones are still rooting down equally, right side and left side. And find this arch, this side bending in your spine. Maybe gazing up toward the eyes of the elbows as you arch over. Let's bring the hands together, clasping the fingers, and simply press the palms up toward the sky. Okay, so shoulder blades come down, and then keeping the shoulder blades down, keep the side ribs lifted, extend the arms. Inhale and exhale here, breathing. With each inhale, see if you can extend the spine, the side ribs, up toward the sky just a little more. And with each exhale, see, can you draw the elbows in and the pinkies back behind you. It looks like a very simple pose, but it's quite strong, quite warming. And let's exhale, cactus arms. This is a great variation if you're ever working with arms overhead and the arms get tired. It's a wonderful way to be able to roll the shoulders away from ears. Inhale, reach overhead, and then this time clasp the opposite finger in front. It'll feel a little more awkward this way. Pressing the palms up. Inhale, lift the side chest, the ribs. Exhale, shoulders come down. Inhale, lift through the crown. And exhale, press the palms up toward the sky. Elbows come toward the midline. Pinkies move back behind you. One more nice inhale, lengthen as long as you can. Keep the shoulders away from ears. And then exhale, float the arms out to the sides and down. Great. Go ahead and roll a few more times. Maybe reaching the ear toward each shoulder. And then we'll come to hands and knees. If you have tender knees, a great use of your blanket is just to come under the knees for some support here. So from hands and knees, here's where we take a look at the alignment of the arms, which is very important, especially when we're starting to put weight onto the hands. So here, I'm going to come facing you for now. So when we're standing on hands and knees, the hands, the palms, are shoulder wide apart, or directly under the shoulders, the armpits. The creases of the wrists are parallel, so that means for most of us, the pointer fingers are pointing in the exact same direction. From here, these are the eyes of the elbows. So have the eyes of the elbows looking at each other, so looking in, and this gives a slight rotation to the arms, which is actually an internal rotation. Now from here, as you gaze your eyes of your elbows toward each other, you may notice that the shoulders kind of come forward and toward the ears. So we want to keep the eyes looking at each other and then draw the shoulders back away from ears. And this action, along with pressing up between the shoulder blades, so pressing strong into the floor so the back chest lifts, this action helps to put the shoulders in a healthy position for hands and knees. So gaze back and see that your knees are also hip wide apart. And you can tuck your toes under if that's comfortable for you. If not, feet flat on the floor is okay too. Great, now from here, we're going to inhale and exhale, keeping the elbows looking at each other. Elbows stay straight, they do not bend. We'll exhale, draw the heart toward the floor by pulling the shoulder blades toward each other on the spine. Inhale, press into the floor so the back chest lifts. Inhale, heart sinks toward the floor, shoulders squeeze together. Exhale, the back chest lifts. Inhale, heart comes to the floor. Exhale, back chest lifts. The shoulder blades are spreading apart on the exhale. Inhale, chest toward floor. Squeeze shoulders together. Shoulders stay away from ears. Exhale, spreading the wings, the shoulder blades apart. Good. So this is a variation of shoulder push-ups. If this feels very simple for you, you can extend one leg at a time to come into plank pose. Plank pose, it's very important not to sink the belly toward the floor, but instead lift the rib cage, lift the belly button toward your spine, and then send your tailbone toward the earth. And that gives a very strong foundation for this pose. Extend through the heels, lift the inner kneecaps toward the sky, and then you can continue. And as we build strength in the body, sometimes there's a little bit of shaking. And this is okay as long as we're building strength. We don't want to be shaking during a stretch. And let's lower the knees to the floor, untuck the toes, bring the big toes to touch. Reach the hands forward, gaze forward, shoulders back and down so you lift the chest. And the hips come back just a ways, not all the way to the heels like in child's pose, but just, 3/4 of the way. Keep looking forward. Walk the hands forward until the heart sinks toward the earth and the forehead can rest either on the floor, or if your forehead does not reach the floor, you can rest the forehead on a block here. So taking some deep breaths in puppy pose. And see if you can flip the palms to face the sky. This is an external rotation of the arms. So flipping the palms to face the sky, see if you can walk your elbows in toward each other just a ways. Feel a stretch in the shoulders. And then palms together, bend the elbows so that your hands are in prayer position. Lifting the hands so the fingers are pointing at the ceiling. And then walking the elbows forward and toward the midline. And feel a nice stretch here. This is a stretch in the upper shoulders and the side chest. And you can really use your breath to help facilitate this stretching by inhaling and feel an expansion in the tops of the ribs. It's particularly in the back body. And then to add just a little gentle strengthening here, pressing the elbows into the floor, see if you can gently bring the palms apart from each other. It's quite a challenging movement, and you want to be very gentle because we're working with the rotator cuff muscles. We want to protect them and not push too hard. So working with your breath, inhale to separate the palms apart. Maybe they just come apart 2 centimeters. That's great. And then exhale, like you're opening and closing your hands, like you're clapping in slow motion. So inhale, open, exhale, close. Just notice where you're feeling this sensation in your shoulders. And sending nourishing breath to anywhere that you feel tension or constriction. And we'll release the hands all the way down. Release your hips all the way back to your heels, unless this is too hard on your knees. Then puppy is always a great option if you have tender knees. Otherwise, come into Bhaktasana, devotional pose. The block can come with you if you're using a block. And we'll inhale, gaze forward, and lift up onto hands and knees. And we'll find our first downward facing dog for the morning. Tucking toes under, Pointer fingers are pointing straight forward, wrist creases are parallel. Now instead of having the eyes of the elbows facing each other, we're actually externally rotating the arms so that the eyes of the elbows gaze forward. This helps to seat the shoulders back and down as we come into downward facing dog, lifting the hips up and back so the arms are like they're reaching over the head. I'm going to step my feet back a ways, keeping the knees bent for now, and then really lengthening through the spine, like someone's pulling your tail. Notice as you lengthen through the spine that the shoulders tend to round in toward the ears. So find that external rotation again and relax your neck. We'll inhale, come forward, keeping the elbows, shoulders away from the ears into plank. Now when we're in plank, eyes of the elbows look at each other. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Eyes of the elbows gaze forward to help give us space for the neck. And plant the shoulder blades back and down. Come forward again. Exhale, knees to the floor. And hips come back and down for Bhaktasana, devotional pose, or you can find puppy instead. Take a breath here into the back body. We'll inhale again, coming onto a seated position. So you can choose to roll up your blanket and sit ahead of the blanket, or find Virasana, which is a variation that I like with a block under the hips. The knees are touching, and the feet are slightly, almost underneath the hips, but slightly out to the sides. You'll find your strap, and I'll face you in this posture. So finding your strap, you're going to make a loop that is shoulder wide apart. So if you have a D-ring, just take the strap through and then double it back. And then you're going to find a loop that's just as wide as your shoulders. Okay, so from here, just placing the strap just beneath the elbows, shoulder wide apart. And if you don't have the D-ring, it's a little trickier to adjust the width, but you can also just tie some kind of a strap with a knot, like so. Okay, so either one works. So strap is beneath the elbows, arms are shoulder wide apart, and here you draw the shoulders back toward the body. Tailbone is descending down, side chest, front chest, back chest is lifting, shoulders down, and we'll just inhale to reach the arms overhead. So we're pressing into the strap and extending through the fingertips. Drawing the outer edges of the armpits in toward the ears, so it's that same rotation as you will find in downward facing dog. And then extending up through the fingertips as high as we can go, keeping the fingers extended, sinking just the shoulders toward the ears. And breathing here. And pressing into the strap. This will build a lot of strength. If you'd like to add a little bit of spinal rotation here, continue pressing into the strap. Inhale, lift, and exhale, just twist to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist left. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist right. Inhale. Exhale, twist left. Keep pressing into the strap. You may be feeling a bit of a burn at this point. And exhale. The hands can come to the sides. Roll the shoulders. And here we'll come just so that we're standing on the knees. So again, the blanket may feel useful for you. Standing on the knees. Feet are hip wide, knees are hip wide apart. And we'll take this strap behind the back. Again, the same position on the strap, so just beneath the elbows. The strap is behind the back. And you'll notice my imbalance tends to be an overarch to the low back, which is pretty common. So most of us will need to really draw the tailbone down toward the floor, almost lifting the pubic bone toward the belly button. And then instead of arching the back again, we're going to knit the ribs in and just roll the shoulders back and down. So a nice straight spine with the shoulders back and down. From here, actually, I think I would prefer us to have the strap at the wrists here. So strap is at the wrists. Pubic bone is lifting toward the belly button, tailbone down. Front ribs tuck away from the shirt. Nice and tall through the spine, and then simply roll just the shoulders back and down. Press strongly into the strap, extend the elbows. Shoulders back and down, front ribs back, tailbone down. Good. So pressing strongly through the hands, extending through the elbows, shoulders away from ears. Maybe you can begin to lift the hands away from the hips. Tailbone descends, front ribs back, shoulders down. Inhale, floating the hands maybe a little further. Keeping the alignment of the spine as we begin to open the shoulders. This is a great postural exercise to practice, particularly since we spend so much of our day hunched forward. Breathing deeply here, and then releasing the strap to the sides. It's kind of fun to allow the arms to float out to the sides and overhead. It almost feels like they do it on their own. They're more weightless here. And then exhale. Hands can come back to the floor, and you can find a child's pose or puppy pose again here. It's also very fun and useful to use the same setup with the strap in our plank pose as we prepare for Chaturanga Dandasana. So bringing this strap now just above your elbows. So instead of below like we've had them, strap just above the elbows, still shoulder wide apart. And we'll find our plank. So the hands, again, are also shoulders wide apart, stepping the feet back. You can also practice this just on the knees. So anytime in any class that I or another yoga teacher says, come into plank pose, if you're feeling not so strong, it's better to do a pose on your knees with the correct engagement of the belly, rather than trying to do plank pose but falling into improper alignment. So it's your choice. You can be knees, or the knees can be lifted. Tailbone down, belly lifts. Inhale here, exhale, shoulders back. Inhale here. I'm going to practice with knees lifted. Exhale, bending the elbows, bringing the chest forward. And here you can, it's kind of like you have this nice little table of the strap. Shoulders back, gaze forward. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, coming back. Knees descend. You can find your child's pose. And we'll inhale, hands and knees once more. Finding thread the needle, which is a great strength builder and stretch for the upper spine. It's a twist as well. So here, keeping the hips balanced. Inhale, reach the right arm out to the side and overhead. Then exhale, threading your hand behind your left wrist. The left elbow bends, and we're just going to hover on the floor. This is a lot more challenging than coming down to the earth. So we're hovering here, reach, reach, reach. Inhale, unwind, reaching out to the side and then overhead again. Exhale, palm to floor. Inhale, left arm out to the side, overhead. See if you can keep the hips balanced. Exhale, left arm goes back behind the right wrist. Right elbow bends. We're hovering and reaching. The hips stay square and the twist happens in the upper spine. Inhale, reaching out and overhead. Exhale. We'll work with the right hand a few times. So inhale and reach. Exhale, reach under. Hover. Then we'll inhale and just reach out to the side. Your chest is looking at the floor. And exhale, reaching down, threading the needle and hovering. Inhale, chest reaches the floor, right arm out to the side. Exhale, hovering. A few more in your own pace, with your own breath. Seeing that you keep the hips balanced and the upper spine twists. Reaching out to the side, and then place the hand onto the earth. Left arm reaches out, threading the needle underneath. Inhale, reaching. Exhale, threading. At your own pace. And then hand comes to the floor. If by now your wrists are a little tender, I'd like to offer a variation. So this is a wedge that helps to lift the heel portion of the hand off of the floor, and it just basically decreases the angle of the wrist. So if you have something like this, it's really quite useful. But not all of us have a wedge, so if you don't, you can always, wherever you're at, take the end of your mat and simply roll it toward your body. You can place your hands down on that lifted wedge, just from your rolled up mat. And a lot of poses work in this way, so any of the shoulder, hands and knees poses, you can use the rolled up mat. Even downward facing dog, you can use the rolled up mat. Plank pose, even moving through a vinyasa. So it's a great option if you're having wrist troubles. Let's take our thread the needle one more time, and we'll hold it statically. Reaching the right arm out to the side and overhead, threading behind the left wrist. And this time, we're going to allow the shoulder and the side of the head to rest on the floor. We'll lift the left arm and bring it out away from the face just a ways, so that this left elbow is at about a right angle. And then pressing into the floor to increase the twisting sensation. And breathing into any space that feels constricted or tense. And enjoying this stretch. Maybe smiling. Maybe recalling your intention for practice. Sending the breath in to the entire shoulder girdle, chest area. And exhale, letting go. Place your left hand in a little closer to your face. We'll press up and reach out to the right, maybe even overhead. Exhale, hand to the floor. Right, left arm reaching out to the side and overhead. And we'll thread on the left side. The head comes to the floor. The right hand comes out a ways so that your right elbow is at about a right angle. And watch my shoulders here. I'm pressing into the floor to roll the right shoulder back toward my spine. And then maybe I can reach the left shoulder toward my left hand to increase the twist. Hips stay balanced here so that the twist is happening in the upper back and not the low back. Softening your face, softening your neck. Bring the right hand in toward the face. Pressing into the right hand to reach out to the side, or maybe overhead. return the hand to the floor. Hopefully your shoulders are feeling a little more awake this morning. And from here we'll move into some more active, warming postures. So tucking your toes under, setting your foundation in the arms for downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. The knees can stay bent. From here, we're coming forward. So as the elbows look toward each other, shoulders away from the ears, finding a plank pose. Tailbone curls under, belly lifts. Front ribs pull toward the back body, and we're pressing strongly into the arms. Inhale, bring your left knee toward your left elbow. Exhale, foot comes back to the floor. Inhale, right knee toward right elbow. Exhale, toward the floor. Take an in-breath here, and exhale, downward facing dog. Eyes the elbows look forward as you come back. Knees are bent or maybe beginning to draw the inner knees toward the back of the room, the tops of the thighs back to help create space for your low back. Good. Shift your weight into your left foot and reach your right foot toward the sky. Keeping your hips square, so the tendency when we lift up is we open the hip to the side, and that's not necessarily what we're going for today. Keeping the hips balanced. Reach, reach, reach through the foot. And as you exhale, draw your knee into your chest and find a plank pose. So as the elbows look toward each other, pressing and lifting the knee. Welcome your core into the practice. Inhale, extend and reach. Exhale, knee to the chest. So a few more of these on your rhythm with your breath. And then we'll exhale the foot to the floor and repeat on the left side. It's a great way to build strength and stability in the shoulders as we prepare for our arm balances. Let's inhale forward into plank, lower the knees, and exhale Bhaktasana or puppy pose, your pick. Make sure that the forehead rests onto the floor and take some breaths here. As you're ready, coming forward onto your belly into Sphinx pose so that the shoulders are directly under elbows. Wrists are shoulder wide apart. From here, notice that it's really easy to collapse the back and collapse the belly toward the floor and overarch the low back. Low back is a very important piece of our core engagement, and many of us have this imbalance where we're kind of relaxing the belly and the back overarches. So instead, press your pubic bone down into the floor. Press the tops of your thighs and the tops of your feet into the earth. Pull the belly button toward your spine. Shoulders back and down, press into the floor through the elbows. So keep lifting the belly toward the spine. Pull the rib cage together, kind of like you're squeezing the ribs toward each other here. And we're just building some strength here. So belly to spine, rib cage together, so knitting the front ribs together. And then use that action of belly to spine, like someone's pulling the belly button toward the sky to lift your hips. Knees stay heavy, thighs stay heavy, tailbone reaches toward your heels, and you're lifting here. And this is a great place, if you're feeling any shaking, to acknowledge that you're strengthening your nervous system, you're strengthening your stabilizing muscles in the core. Keep pressing down through the shoulders, pressing through the elbows, pulling belly button towards spine. The gaze can be just forward at your mat, or maybe your thumbs. And then exhale, relaxing down, stacking palms on top of each other and resting your head. Take a nice breath here and really release any tension that may have been stirred up from some of this work. We'll come to hands and knees again. So you can take your hands right under the shoulder blades. The elbows are pointing up toward the sky. Shoulders lifting also up toward the sky. See if you can keep that alignment of the back, tailbone rooting down, belly button lifting, front chest lifting, as you squeeze the elbows in and come through hands and knees. Finding Adho Mukha Svanasana. Lift your left leg this time. We're still keeping square hips. And exhale as you come into plank. Bring your open your hip to the side so that your knee comes to your elbow. Exhale, extend. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to elbow, out to the side this time. Instead of straight forward like we did, we're coming out to the side. Inhale, extend. So this takes a bit of hip openness, and if that's not you today, that's okay. You can continue working with just bringing the knees straight forward and hovering. Keeping the belly toward the spine, keeping the front ribs knitting together. This time, we're going to take the knee across to the right side. So it's a bit of a twist. It's a great posture to prepare us for many of the twisting arm balances. So here, as you touch the knee to the elbow, or maybe it doesn't quite touch, it's just hovering, see if you can stay here for a breath. Exhale, extend, and lower the leg down. Inhale, the right leg lifts. Exhale, knee to the right elbow, lifting. We inhale. So we're coming to the side, almost like we're leading with the knee and then leading with the belly button to come forward. Inhale, extend. Exhale. This time we'll inhale, extend. We'll come across to the left side. So moving dynamically makes this a little more accessible. If you're feeling very strong, you can come into the hover and hold for as many breaths as you can without creating too much tension. Let's all try that for just 2 breaths. Extending back, and legs come to the floor. Knees rest, hips back and down, Bhaktasana or puppy again. Take some breaths here. Releasing any tension that may have come up for you during this strength building core and shoulder work. Inhale, hands and knees. And the knees under the shoulders. Exhale, downward facing dog. Revisit the alignment of the arms. See that the eyes of the elbows are moving toward forward to create space for your neck. Press into the floor and micro bend the elbows just a little bit. From there, extend through the side chest, all the way through the tailbone, up and back. Then press the tops of your thighs strongly back toward the back wall. Lift the kneecaps, broaden the back of the kneecaps. Press the inner thighs back and the outer thighs back equally. Press each side of the ankles back. And maybe lift the toes off of the floor. And exhale, hands and knees. And then come back, sitting to bring your feet forward. And we'll hold on to the fronts of the knees, or extending the arms to roll yourself back down onto your mat. From here, bring the knees in toward the chest. Hug the inner knees together, hug the ankles together. Reach the arms out to the sides into a T position. Flare your toes apart and really keep the ankles together, keep the knees together. Inhale. And exhale. Lower the knees to the left without letting the knees splay apart. So we're keeping the knees right next to each other. And only going as far as we can, keeping the right shoulder on the floor. Inhale through center. Exhale, twisting right. And keeping the knees together helps to keep the sacrum from shearing or from moving out of alignment. Inhale through center. Exhale left. Take a few breaths here, but never quite touching the floor. So we're working on the strength here rather than just flexibility. Inhale center. Exhale right. Inhale center. And we'll stay in center with the knees. Arms can stay out to the sides. And notice the back body. See if you can flatten the entire spine into the earth. So drawing the front ribs back, drawing the belly button back, and flattening the whole back into the floor. And from here, touching the right toes to the earth. Notice if the back tries to pop up as you extend the leg. Keep it flat against the floor. And left toes. And if this feels very simple, you can reach the legs out quite a ways more until you feel it challenging your core. Keep flattening the back into the earth. Resting if it's time, but keep going if you've got it today. Softening the face, the neck, the shoulders. Find this action in the core. Two more. Now hug the knees into the chest. You can rock side to side if that feels good on the back. We'll keep hold of the right shin and extend the left leg onto the floor, flexing both toes back towards your body and pressing the top of the left thigh down. The inner knee presses down, the heel presses down to really find a groundedness in the extended leg. Inhaling here, keeping the hips balanced. Exhale, maybe squeezing the shin toward your chest. Exhale, extend the leg. Inhale, the left leg comes in. Again, as that knee comes up, the hip tends to scoot up toward the armpit, so keep the hips balanced. Keep the left hip down as low as the right. Press the top of the thigh, the inner knee, the heel into the earth. Take an in-breath. Exhale, squeeze. Pavanamuktasana. And extend the leg to the earth. And you may choose to find some support under your knees as we move into Shavasana, or a blanket you might want to cover up with your shirt. And from the shoulders, relaxing the arms out to the sides, and from the inner shoulder, externally rotate the arm, drawing the shoulder down and back toward the spine as you flip the palms up toward the sky. Bend your knees, lift your hips, curl your tailbone toward your heels, and then lower the back onto the floor. Extending the legs. Hopefully the back of the neck is long. If it's not here, you can lift the head, tuck the chin as you extend the back of the neck just a little, and then reset back onto the floor. Settling in to your Shavasana, your final relaxation pose. Really begin to integrate all of the work that we've done in this short practice today. And in order to do this, you can simply let go. The beauty of yoga is that if you show up and do the work, it continues to work on you. So now, truly surrendering the physical body, unhinging your jaw, relaxing your tongue away from the roof of your mouth, the eyes are closed, the face is soft, even the brain releases, feels heavy toward the floor. The neck and shoulders can completely surrender and let go. The chest rises and falls very gently with the rhythm of the breath. The belly is being moved by your breath. The back, where it contacts the floor, can feel a deep sense of release. The low back can surrender here, absorbing all the great benefits from your practice. The hips, the thighs, the knees, completely letting go. The shins relax into the calves, which relax into the floor. And the feet surrender. Until your whole self can let go. And softly, with an in-breath, invite your awareness back inside. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Move your ankles and your wrists. And rock your head side to side. With gentleness, draw the knees into the chest. Perhaps rolling the knees in large circles to massage the back. Reversing directions if you choose. And then take your time as you're ready to roll onto your right side. You can cradle your head in your right arm as you make your way over into this fetal position. Just cradling yourself here. Feeling a sense of gratefulness for your practice, for your journey, for exactly where you are in this moment. Take a deep breath and feel it broadening the back body, the shoulder girdle, which we worked on today. And feel that sense of gratitude diffuse into each cell of your body. Whenever you're ready, use the strength from your arms to press yourself up into a seated position, keeping your eyes closed, coming onto support if you choose, or any comfortable variation of seated. We'll meet with the hands at the heart. Nice tall spine. Notice the enlivened sensation in the shoulders. Thanks for sharing your practice with me today. The highest potential inside of me vows to honor the highest potential inside of you.